I've been drawing a daily tarot card as my morning ritual for some time now. I like to see how the energies show up or give me the opportunity to work with the energies very actively. So I thought, why not bring a little bit of that energy into our Monday readings, where we can pull a few cards every Monday to catch the energy of your week ahead. And this is less about getting answers and more about sitting with the energy, getting curious about the energy, and even actively working with what's here. And if that kind of thing interests you, I do a monthly energy snapshot over on my Patreon. The link to check that out is in the description box. And for anyone new here, my readings aren't for quick predictions or hearing exactly what you would hope to hear. I go where the inner work is, and that's not always comfortable or immediately resonant. So take your time to consider how the messages might be relevant and use your discernment to decide what to do with it. Timestamps for each one of these readings are in the description. However, for those who would like a close-up of the cards today, let me do that right now. For Soul Path 1, we have the Bonfire. For Soul Path 2, we have the Dog. For Soul Path 3, we have the Jackalope. And for Soul Path 4, we have the Sunrise. And when you feel called, click on the timestamp for your reading, and we'll see you over there. For those who chose the Bonfire, welcome into your message. So this is going to be the energy for your upcoming week. Now, this could be external or internal, and this doesn't have to do with a literal bonfire, although some of you may be going camping. This could also be an inspired idea that's really coming to life, that's really seeing momentum, that you are leading, that you are actively nurturing. This is an energy, whatever's going on, that you have to actively participate in. It's not an energy that you can ignore, because then the bonfire no longer becomes a bonfire. The fire dies, it goes out, and you'll have to start again. So there could be something that you are actively in pursuit of, that you are actively participating in, and maybe starting to see momentum with, especially when it comes to something you're passionate about, something that you've worked really hard for. Watch for burnout. So there is a fine line between momentum and passion and motivation and pushing yourself too far and burning out. So I feel like that's going to be part of your upcoming energy this week. I feel like part of that message is, what do you need to feed this week? What do you need to nurture? What do you need to pay attention to? And it's something that is, I want to say alive, but it's something that needs your attention in order to sustain, in order to maintain. So let's look at your weekly challenge or your opportunity here. King of Wands in reverse. It's interesting because that is the King of Wands in the traditional tarot. And we have the Page of Pentacles. It's interesting here that this king is in reverse, but the energy of the week is the opposite of that. So already there's an inspiration to keep going even when you don't feel inspired to do so. So maybe you're entering the week not feeling very motivated. And this could be the energy to capture, is that even though there's something that you are missing, you might not feel creatively inspired to do something. You might not be feeling like you have the energy for something. What do you need to feed in order to feel inspired? But also, what are the practical actions that you can take to create more of a focus or even create some kind of restraint? So a lot of the times when we have guidelines that are too loose, or we have no deadlines, that it can really spread our fire too thin. So this almost feels like a containment of sorts, of really bringing focus in or providing some kind of structure or container for that fire in order to be inspired, to bring back some motivation. So the King of Wands could be you being a creative person or wanting to lead, wanting to create something of your vision, but not really sure where to begin. How can you give yourself parameters to start that process? Maybe it's a deadline. Okay, I'm going to do XYZ by this date, or by the end of the day, I'm going to finish this particular task. What is that singular step that you can start with? And how can you give it a deadline? How can you provide some sense of limitation so that you're not feeling too scattered, you're not feeling overwhelmed, you're not feeling like you don't know how to apply your energy? Yeah. I feel like that was your guidance. And we did have the Chariot in reverse at the bottom, but I'm going to pull one more card and we will call your reading complete. Ace of Wands. Yeah. So it's not about bringing the entire vision to life. It's about doing that next step, doing that thing that you are inspired to do in this moment. Again, what is it that you need to nurture? What is it you need to address? What is it that you need to feed in order to move yourself forward? So if you're needing or wanting immediate results, this is not going to be the week to receive immediate results. This is a time to draw in your energy and start taking steps towards that big goal, that big dream, that big vision. And focusing on the present moment, focusing on what you can do, focusing on your purpose, your passion, the reason why you'd like to do this thing, what you would like to achieve, and then aligning that next action with that, with focus and intention and structure. So that is what I have for you, my dear Soul Path 1. I'd love to read how these messages resonated for you as the week progresses, so drop me a comment if you feel called to share. And if you made it this far and you want to go deeper, that's what my private community and one-on-one readings are for. The link to sign up for access is in the description. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great week, and we'll see you soon. For those who chose the dog, welcome into your reading. So this is the Fool card in the traditional tarot. But the first thing that comes to mind is loyalty with this dog. There's somewhat of maybe a romantic attachment. There's a new opportunity here, a new excitement for something. This could be a new path. This could be something new to explore that may require you to take a risk. This could be a risk in doing something, but this also could be an emotional risk or spiritual risk or even a mental risk of maybe seeing something differently or feeling something differently, being open to new possibilities here. You could also be spending a lot of time with your pet or your animal this week as well. But the overall feeling that I'm getting is a new dedication to a path. Maybe a new commitment, I'm not sure. Ooh, we have the Death and the Ten of Wands in reverse as your challenge and opportunity cards, with the Ten of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck there. Now, there could be some grief that you're moving through this week. You could have experienced a death in the family very recently. This is not predicting a death in the family. This is simply giving me this sense of really rooting into what's important here. And even having this realization of life is too short, I have to start taking more risks. I have to let go of the things that are heavy. I have to transform. I have to change. I have to, do something differently here. So there's something here forming somewhat of an ending and a beginning kind of all at once, but you're in this possibly interesting liminal space where you're figuring things out. There could be a potential for new opportunities here. But first, there is a release of what is heavy, what is not needed, what is not yours to carry. And that could be a challenge, but it's also an opportunity. Again, an opening and a closing of that door. So what are the things that you have to start letting go of, start releasing? And this could be in the physical world where you are clearing out your house, de-junking. This could also be energetic, spiritual, emotional as well, where you are starting to offload tasks and you're starting to delegate and you're starting to free up some space so that you can enjoy the important people and even the important animals in your life. So this week, that might need to be addressed, especially if you're feeling that already. So let's look at the guidance for the week ahead. 2 of Cups. See? That's what I thought. And then the King of Wands in reverse at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, it's a feeling of like, I can't continue to go in this way before. I'm not feeling motivated to continue on. So this is about really fostering the personal connections in your life, the important connections in your life, maybe having a deeper relationship with somebody in your life, including yourself. So really spending some time being loyal to the things that are important to you, really honoring what you can carry right now, your capacity. So look at where that is needed in the upcoming week. But overall, I feel this is a deepening of some kind of relationship, but it does require a release of something in order to create space for that time, for that emotional connection, and just freeing up your energy overall, opening your capacity for some new things here. So definitely pay attention to that this week and notice where and when you start feeling really heavy, when you start coming up against things that, yeah, I really need to let this go because it's no longer serving me. Coming back to those relationships that are really important for you to nurture, foster, even take risks with. Stay open-minded this week and just pay attention for the things that have run their course and need to be let go of. So I'm going to leave the reading here, my dear Soul Path 2. I'd love to read how these messages resonated, so drop me a comment if you feel called to share. And if you made it this far and you want to go deeper, that's where my private community and one-on-one readings are for. The link to sign up is in the description. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you soon. For those who chose the Jackalope, welcome into your message. So I feel this could be a very fertile week for some things in your life. There could be an accumulation of things. Really pay attention to how you're spending your time, energy, money this week. And also holding 2 things at once, maybe 2 identities, 2 ways of creating something. You know, when we embark on a new path, we don't necessarily let go of the old identity, the old beliefs, the stories, or the old habits, or even the old ways of creation. It's kind of like we're molding and melding things together to create something that is truly unique to us. So I feel that could be happening this week, where you're pairing 2 things together that you wouldn't think would go together. This could be a new experience. Maybe feeling like, oh, I never knew that I liked that, or I never knew what was possible when I combined these things together to create this thing that could very well be abundant. I'm seeing a business owner who, only offered consulting, but then all of a sudden they're offering something else to make this consulting completely different than what's on the market. So watch for opportunities this week where you can start to combine things in a really creative way to amplify your abundance, your wealth, your health, the things that you deem to be important. So let's look at the challenge and opportunity for this week. We have the Tower, and that was calling me the Knight of Wands. Okay, so with this abundance, with this creativity or this creation or this stability, I feel like it also comes with some challenge, and this could be an awakening that happens, an aha moment, something that completely changes the trajectory of your business, your career, your life. Now, that sounds pretty big to stuff into 1 week, but this could be just a choice that you make, a combination of things that happen that lead up to something that could very well be abundant. But I also feel like there is this instability in this process as well, because it is new. You're not really sure which actions to take. Maybe there's a lot of things that you want to do all at once. So I'm getting multi-passionate creative, and this could spark a lot of new things for you. With the devil at the bottom of the deck. So I would also watch for things that are going to pull you back into old familiar patterns that you may have walked away from, that may threaten your security, that may put you in a difficult spot, or pull you back into an old timeline, an old story, an old belief that no longer serves you. So it's almost as if something comes back to roost and you shut it down. And that maybe that's what the Tower is you really looking at those beliefs that are holding you back with this Knight of Wands in reverse, and seeing that as an opportunity to finally let those things go so that you can step into more abundance. When you think of abundance, worth, wealth, health, happiness, joy, all of those wonderful things, what are the beliefs and the stories that come up? And what are the inactions that you don't take because you feel you might not be worthy of having it? Or there's certain blocks that come up. I can't do that. There's not enough time. I'm too, I want to say I'm too old. So there could be a personal ageism going on here, or some kind of criticism that happens. Yeah, we've got the King of Swords in reverse and the Six of Wands in the upright. So don't let that imposter get in the way this month of your abundance, of your wealth, of the things that you have already succeeded in doing. Really celebrating your success, even the success that almost feels like I'm letting go or I'm failing. Those things are simply just transformation into something new, something different. And while that might look really uncomfortable or feel really uncomfortable or chaotic on the outside, that doesn't mean that it isn't for the long-term success or the long-term good. So just notice where you're being pulled back into something, how that might block your abundance or your sense of worthiness, your sense of stability, comfort, security, and even a sense of, self-worth is what I'm getting. When does that inner critic pipe up and stop you in your tracks? And how can you really shift the narrative there? So I feel like this is an opportunity to do that. Those primal instincts that kind of get in the way sometimes. The fight or flight is coming through here because the jackalopes, they're very fast. Rabbits are very fast when they feel they are in danger. So there is a flight there. Watch some of the triggers and the reactions to those triggers that come up this week, because I feel there's a really good opportunity for you to get familiar with it, to get to know it a little better, so that it no longer blocks your way forward and prevents you from moving in the direction that you would like to go. So that is what I have for you, my dear Soul Path 3. I'd love to read how these messages resonated, so drop me a comment if you feel called to share. And if you made it this far and want to go deeper, that's what my private community and one-on-one readings are for. The link to sign up is in the description. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you soon. For those who chose the sunrise, welcome into your message. The dawn of a new day is what I'm feeling from this, but also just an enjoyment of the landscape, an enjoyment of a tranquil moment. And that could be watching the sunrise, watching the sunset, but also there's something that is rising that I feel you're coming out of some kind of darkness and you're just seeing the peaks of light. Maybe you're feeling more optimistic this week. There's some glimmers of hope that things are moving. But also, if you want to actively participate in this energy, find moments of solitude and tranquility, however you see fit there. Because I feel what you've moved through might be quite difficult, and appreciating the small moments might be really important. So let's see what the cards have to say for you. Challenge and opportunity, the High Priestess, and the Tower in reverse. Okay. So again, I feel like you're on the other side of some kind of difficulty, but it hasn't quite left. I feel there's still remnants here, and there's an opportunity for you to really settle into your inner knowing, really getting acquainted with that a little bit more. And those simple, quiet moments of solitude are really going to help you feel rooted and grounded when things are maybe still up in the air or still chaotic, still tumultuous. Tranquility is just the word that keeps coming with this. You see the challenges, but you're also seeing beyond the challenges. The mountains in the tarot are challenges. The water is our emotions, and the emotions are solid. They are stable. They are calm. Even though those mountains still exist, there's still something beyond the mountain that is peeking its way out. So there is some opportunity, there is some hope, and that hope might not be in the external. I feel it's going to be more internal. So where are those opportunities to help you lean into or ground into your own sense of hope and faith, maybe even your spirituality or your connection to spirit, the divine, your psychic abilities, judgment? So again, the sunrise is happening even in this judgment card. It's rising from the ashes. So you may be sitting in the ashes still, but what can you do in this space? What are the moments where you can find respite, where you can find your ground, and really spend this time in this liminal space, in this in-between, connecting to yourself in a spiritual way? Four of Wands in reverse. There's more upheaval here. So that's part of your guidance here. I feel there's an uprooting of sorts, an uprooting of your belief system. It's really challenging your belief system. And I feel you're going to have a stronger belief system on the other side of this. So this feels like a moment to really explore your spirituality, explore your psychic gifts, your creative gifts. Really pay attention to where your energy wants to go, what it needs to find that stability. And I keep coming back to that word stability and tranquility and grounding, because this High Priestess is sitting on a tree stump. So that feels very immovable to me. That feels very solid. And again, I just feel like this is an opportunity this week, in spite of the chaos, change, challenge, whatever you're still moving through, to find your sense of foundation again, until such time that things stabilize. Now, the Knight of Wands, bottom of the deck, is just this energy of move with whatever you're feeling passionate to move towards. If your body needs rest, how can you give it rest? If you feel inspired to create something, to transmute something, how can you give yourself permission to do that? If you're inspired to sit by the water and watch the sunrise or the sunset, what are some of the ways that you can do that? Maybe connecting with animals is something as well. You could be somebody that loves being around horses. How can you participate in that? And it might not be in that physical, going out and riding horses, but, how can you connect with them through video, through audio, through other means, maybe painting them? I don't know. There's something about creativity here, and really transmuting these challenges and maybe this trouble or whatever you're moving through into some kind of connection with something beyond this experience. So I'm going to leave it here, my dear soul path 4. I'd love to read how these messages resonated, so drop me a comment if you feel called to share. And if you made it this far and want to go deeper, that's what my private community and one-on-one readings are for. The link to sign up is in the description. Thank you for being here. Have a fantastic week, and I'll see you soon.